Namaskar. Uh, Welcome in this lecture series on software engineering fundamentals. This is Dr. Bright Keswani, and in today's topic, we will discuss about the software safety and hazard analysis. These are some learning objectives and learning outcomes of this lecture. Through this lecture, you will learn all insights about software safety and hazard analysis in detail. As far as learning outcomes are concerned, after the completion of this lecture, you will be understand about the importance of software safety and hazard analysis and its scope and why these are required. These are some points to be discussed during the lecture. Uh, there are some definitions of hazard, so we will discuss about all definitions. Then we will discuss about the concept of software safety, significance of the software safety, and safety of critical systems. Then we will discuss about emerging software safety standards, so system safety program plan, and hazard analysis. Then we will discuss about objectives of software hazard analysis, source code level analysis techniques, and hazard analysis techniques. And at last, we will discuss about the safety analysis strategy. So let us discuss about the first thing was what is hazard. Software hazard analysis or hazard is a form of subsystem hazard analysis. Computers are used increasingly to monitor and control complex critical process, and these are also used in an increasing number of life critical applications such as air traffic control or aircraft navigation and control, nuclear power plants, and medical apparatus, defensive uh, and defense field also. It has been emphasized by many researchers that safety is not a software issue, rather it is a system issue. By itself, software does nothing unsafe. It is the control of systems with hazardous components or the providing of information to people who make decisions that that have potentially hazardous consequences that leads to hazardous systems. Thus, software can be considered unsafe only in the context of a particular system. At the system level, software may be treated as one or more components whose failure may lead to a hazardous system condition. Such a condition may result in the occurrence of an accident. All the important notations related to software safeties we will discuss in this lecture. There are some definitions related to hazard. First definition is what is hazard? A condition that is a prerequisite to a mishap is called hazard. What is mishap? An unplanned event or series of events that results in death, results in injury, or occupational illness or damage or loss of equipment or property is called mishap. Okay, when we called when we talk about hazardous event, it is an occurrence that creates a hazard is called an hazardous event. Means occurrence that creates a hazard is hazardous event. Hazard probability. The aggregate probability of occurrence of the individual hazardous event that create a specific hazard. The probability that a hazard will be created during the planned life expectancy of a system can be described in potential occurrences per unit of time, events, population, items, or activity. So the occurrence hazard probability, it depends so many factors. So uh, the terminology is commonly applied to qualitative hazard probability assessments: frequency, probable, occasional, remote, and importable are some uh, terminology which is commonly used when we are talking about hazard probability. Hazard event probability is the likelihood expressed in quantitative or qualitative terms that a hazardous event would occur. When we talk about hazard severity, an assessment of the worst creditable mishap that could be caused by a specific hazard. So, hazard severity categories are defined to provide a qualitative measure of the worst mishap resulting from personal errors or environmental conditions or design inadequacies or procedural deficiencies or systems, subsystems, or component failure or malfunctioning. Okay, so there are some hazard. There are several factors which affect the hazard severity of the hazard. So these are some important uh, things which have to be under consider which have to be considered when you are talking about hazard. Let us discuss about the concept of software safety. System safety involves building in safety from the very beginning of system development, and the focus is on hazard management during each phase of the life cycle, system life cycle. So, hazard measurement task includes the identifying hazard, determining hazard causes and scenarios, assessing hazards, and uh, taking steps to eliminate or control the hazard. So these are very important tasks when we are operating or doing the hazard management. When we are planning for the hazard management, these tasks should be considered as an important tasks, and they should be involved in the task hazard management as a hazard management task. So, concept of software testing, software safety involves building in safety from the very beginning of system development, and the focus is on hazard management during each phase of the system life cycle. And through system safety is a well-developed discipline with a long history. Software safety is relatively new. The introduction of uh, software into the system does not change the ultimate goal of reducing the risk of accidents occurring. And this means that software safety must be determined in the context of overall system safety. So, analysis techniques must be used that will be effective for software hazard management. Software safety is a you can say that software quality assurance activity that focuses on identification and assessment of hazardous or potential hazards related to the use of software in a particular context. A modeling and analysis process is conducted to identify hazards and categorize uh, them by criticality and risk. And once the hazard are identified, requirements can be specified for the software system. Let us discuss about the significance of software safety. Software safety requires uh, that systems are built and configured in a secure and reliable way. Software impacts our world in very important way, many important ways. For example, airline flight control and nuclear power plants are rely upon complex software code that must be updated from time to time, tested and supported. So, software safety is a plays a very crucial role, and it is a very challenging problem to assure that the software will not contribute to some uh, specific events causing damage to property or the environment or injury or even death. So this become an urgent question when computers are used in the increasing number of safety critical applications like air traffic control, aircraft navigation and control, and automatic light rapid transit, satellite, nuclear power plants, medical apparatus, and defense purpose. So, what is important? So, safety, system safety is important, and you can say that system safety is a systematic approach to managing the inherent safety related risks in critical systems, and by eliminating or controlling states of the system hazards that may contribute to a mishap. System safety reduces the risk of an accident occurring. So, system safety, you can say, it is a systematic approach to managing the inherent uh, safety related risks in critical systems, and by eliminating or controlling the state of the system that may contribute to the mishap. System safety reduces the risk of an accident occurring. Let us discuss about safety critical system. A system is critical if a malfunctioning could result in loss of life, result in injury or illness, or seriousness environmental development, or related to the significance loss or damage to the property, and a related failure of an important mission or major economic loss. So, uh, safety of a critical system is very much important, and uh, uh, we should aware of all these issues, all these areas when we plan for the software safety. Emerging software safety standards. When emerging software safety standards are concerned, there are mainly two types of safety standards: uh, pers- uh, perspective standards and requirement standards. Perspective standards or perspective model is a model that describes how to do according to a certain software process system, and perspective models are used as guidelines or frameworks to organize and structure how software development activities should be performed and in what order. As far as software requirement standards are concerned, the process this is the process of to gather the software requirements from client, analyze and document them, is known as requirement engineering. The goal of requirement engineering is to develop and maintain sophisticated and descriptive system requirement specification document. So you can say that perspective process standard usually prescribe that certain features of a process must be present, or that the process is performed in a certain way. On the other hand, requirement standards are also usually uh, prescriptive. and but about relatively abstract features of the process. So, requirement standards are intended to ensure that a process has certain essential properties. A requirement standard might, for instance, specify that an audit trail must be provided without specifying how it is to be done. Okay, so there are some examples of uh, popular software safety standards like, and the most important safety standard is IEC 1508 standard safety standard. Apart from IEC 1508 standard, there are DO 178B standard is there, INTDEF 0055 standard is there, RIA 23 standard is there, and CENTLEC standard is there. So there are several standards are there for safety. We can call it as a safety standard. Uh, the IEC 1508 safety standard is an important safety standard, and it has been written a safety standard on safety for some years. The result is a seven part draft that covers much of the system and software safety. The seven parts of this standard are: first is general requirements. uh, First part is consist of general requirements. Second part is consist of requirements for electrical, electronics, or programmable electronic system. Uh, uh, the part 3 consists of software requirements. Part 4 consists of definitions. Part 5 consists of guidelines on the application of Part 1. And Part 6 consists of guidelines on the application of Part 2 and 3. And the last part, that is 7, Part 7, consisting of bibliography of techniques and measures. So we can say that IEC 1508 safety standards are very descriptive type standards, and they guided in a proper manner for the software safety. Let us discuss about the system safety program plan. During the conceptual phase, safety standards, specifications, regulations, and relevant system safety design requirements are identified and evaluated for relevance and applicability. And it is during this phase that system safety management develops and system safety engineering initiatives implementation of the system safety program plan, that is SSPP, which at a minimum should define the purpose, scope, and objectives of the SSPP. The system safety organization includes all interfaces and working groups, system safety programs, review and milestones, and general system safety requirements and operational standards. Then hazard analysis should be incorporated or should be defined properly here. Then system safety data and assessments are there, should be there. uh, Safety compliance assessment should be there. Safety review of engineering change proposal and uh, deviation or waiver request should be there. Safety program verification, validation, and auditing should be there. Safety training should be mentioned or defined in it. And lastly, mishap and hazardous malfunctions analysis and reporting should be defined in this safety uh, plan. Let us discuss about hazard analysis. What is the purpose of hazard analysis? The purpose of hazard analysis is to examine the system and determine which component of the system may lead to mishap. Okay, the purpose of hazard analysis, I think, is very clear to you. The basis of sound design for a safety related system is the identification of the hazard that the system might encounter in operation. A number of techniques or strategies are well established for electrical and electronic systems. A few basic, uh, we can say two basic strategies to such analysis. First is mm, inductive technique, and second is deductive technique. First of all, we should we will learn about the inductive technique. These techniques consider a particular fault in in some components of the system, and these attempt to reason what the consequences of that fault will be. For example, event tree analysis or FMEA analysis. The second is deductive technique. These consider a system failure and then attempt to reason about the system or component states that contribute to the system failure. Like fault tree analysis is the best example of deductive analysis, deductive technique. So, until recently, hazard analysis of computer-based or programmable electronic systems has been carried out within the boundary of the computer, and typically each computer and its software has been regarded as a single unit with no attempt made to analyze its various component parts. And it has been observed that current standard and guidelines for safety related systems are now suggesting that if sufficient functional dependencies or independence can be shown in the individual subsystems within the computer system may be separately analyzed and allocated different safety integrity levels. Uh, the rules for adequate independence are very strict. To allow separate software components to be allocated different safety integrity levels, there must be clear evidence of component independence in terms of both functionality and the method of implementation. So, some research also has been carried out into software hazard analysis, including, for example, the application of traditional hazard techniques like tree analysis, and also proposals for the adoption of HAZOP technique to software. And this research has shown that hazard analysis may be applied successfully to software. And however, the use of such techniques has not become common practice. Uh, Let us discuss about the objectives of software hazard analysis. So, hazard analysis is a form of subsystem hazard analysis. It validates the specified software black box where behavior satisfies system safety design constants, and software hazard analysis checks that specified software behavior satisfies general software system safety design criteria. There are several objectives or uh, of the software hazard analysis. That includes identifying critical system modules and program sections, that is, those with most safety relevance. Secondly, it verifying that software requirements to handle the failure modules identified by the system, subsystems, or hazard analysis that does so effectively. Then it allowing more rigorous methods and control to be selected and applied to areas of software which are most critical to the safety of the system. The next objective of the software hazard analysis is to identifying and evaluating safety hazard associated with the software with the aim of either eliminating them or assisting in the reduction of associated risk. The one more objective of hazard analysis is identifying failure modes that can lead to an unsafe state and making recommendation for change. So there are several objectives of hazard analysis. Let us discuss about the source code level analysis techniques. There are some source code analysis techniques available, and they can be classified into two ways. First is dynamic analysis, which involves execution of code, and second is static analysis, which involves examination of the code without execution. First of all, we will discuss about the dynamic analysis. Dynamic analysis includes simulation, modeling, and the various types and levels of testing. And one method of testing that targets hazardous behavior directly is software fault injection. In particular, fault injection is useful for investigating the effects of uh, events caused by human factors, error, or external failures. In the static analysis, it can be either informal or formal. Informal static analysis includes code inspection, walkthrough, reviews, and software fault tree analysis. Software fault tree analysis targets hazard directly. The analyst begins by assuming that a hazardous code output exists and then traces the consequences backward through the code. When we talk about final code verification involves a proof that a program meets a mathematical specification, and commercial tools exist such as Spark Examiner that supports program verification for particular programming language or programming language subsets. Due to limitations of testing, it is important to supplement dynamic code analysis with the static analysis of the most critical code sections. Let us discuss about hazard analysis techniques. So there are various hazard analysis techniques, but mainly uh, main techniques are enlisted here in this slide. The first is hazard and operability studies. Second is failure modes and effect analysis. Third technique is failure modes, effects, and critically analysis. The fourth one is fault tree analysis, and last one is event tree analysis. So, uh, at the requirements and the design level, most has been applied to software as well, in particular hazard and operability study. And FMEA are often used to help identifying hazards and hazard causes in the software requirements and design. The fault tree analysis is commonly used to organize hazard causes at the system and software component level. When we talk about the hazard and operability analysis, this form of analysis, also known as operating hazard analysis and operating and support and hazard analysis. So, when we talk this type of analysis, the steps, there are two steps in this analysis. The first step is the designer identify their concepts of uh, how the system should be operated. This includes an evaluation of operating sequences, including human and environmental factors. And the purpose of this identification is to determine whether the operators or other people or the environment itself will be exposed to hazards if the system is used as it is intended. In the second step, uh, you have to determine when the identified condition can become safety uh, critical. In order to perform this step, each operation is divided into a number of sequential steps, and each of which is examined for the risk of a mishap. So the data generated from the analysis can be organized into tables indicating the sequences of operations, the hazards that might occur during those operations, and the possible measures that might be employed to prevent the mishap. Okay, these techniques are very much important. FMEA, when we talk about FMEA technique, that is failure modes and effective analysis. When the safety and performance of a system is assessed, the failure mode and effective analysis is the most common tool used. Uh, uh, FMEA is a bottom-up method which begins with a single failure, and then the consequences of the failure are considered. In in the FMEA, all components, elements or subsystems of a system under control are listed. FMEA can be done on different levels and in different phases of the designs that affects the depth of the analysis. And in an early phase of the design, a detailed analysis cannot be done, and also some parts of the system can be considered so clear and harmless that deep analysis is not seen as necessary. However, in critical parts, the analysis needs to be deep and it should be made on uh, component level. If the safety of the system really depends on a certain complex components, the analysis may even include some inner parts of the components. For example, this can mean software analysis or consideration of typical failures related to a certain logical function. So FMEA is intended mainly for single random failure, and so it has the some weak points, like it does not support detection of common cause failure and design failures. And secondly, human errors are usually left out through this technique. The method concentrates on components and not the process event. A sequence of actions causing a certain hazard is difficult to detect. And thirdly, sequential failures causing a hazard can also be difficult to detect, since the basic idea of the method is to consider one failure at a time. If the analysis is made with strict discipline, it is also possible to detect sequential failure. If a failure is detected by the control system, other failures are studied, uh, assuming detected failure has happened. So, in a large analysis documentation, it can be difficult to identify the critical failure. It can be difficult to see which failure have to be considered first, and what the best means are to take care of the critical failure. So uh, there are other methods also, like FMECA, fault mode effects and critical analysis. And this critical and probability factor can be generally category like impossible, importable, occasional, portable, frequent, or exact failure probability values can be used. So the circumstances which very much affect the probability of a failure. When we talk about fault uh, tree analysis, that is FTA, the fault tree analysis is a deductive technique that focuses on one particular accident or top event at a time and provides a method for determining causes of that accident. The purpose of the method is to identify combinations of component failures and human errors that can result in the top event. The fault-free is expressed as a graphical model that displays combination of component failures and other events that can result in the top event. FTA can begin once the top event of interest have been determined. So this may mean preceding use of uh, preliminary hazard analysis or some other analysis method. There are several advantages of FTA. The first advantage, it can reveal single point failures, common cause failures, and multiple failures sequences leading to a common consequences. Secondly, it can reveal when a safe state becomes unsafe. The method is well known and understand, and method is suitable for analyzing the entire system, including hardware, software, any other technologies, events, and human actions. And it shows clearly the reason for a hazardous event. So there are ample of advantages of FTA. Let us discuss about some disadvantages also. Like it may be difficult to identify all hazard, failures, and events of a large system. Secondly, the method is not practical on systems with a large number of safety critical failures. Thirdly, it is difficult to introduce timing information into fault trees. The method can become large and complex. The method gives a static view to system behavior. The method typically assumes independence of events, although dependencies can be present. This affects the probability calculations, and the dependencies also increases the work. Lastly, it is difficult to invent new hazard that the participants of the analysis do not already know. So there are several advantages and disadvantages of fault tree analysis, that is FTA. Let us discuss about event tree analysis. The event tree analysis is the inductive technique using essentially the same representation as fault tree analysis. Event trees may even use the same symbols as fault tree. The files, uh, different files in the analysis employed rather than the representation of the trees. The purpose of event tree analysis is to consider an initiating event in the system and consider all the consequences of the current of the system, current of, occurrence of the event. particularly those that lead to a mishap. So this is concentrated contrast with fault tree analysis, which examines a system to discover how an undescribed event could occur and eventually lead back to some combination of initiating events necessary to cause the failure of the system. And so events uh, event tree analysis begins by analyzing effects, while fault tree analysis begins by analyzing potential causes. So, the ETA and FTA both are very much important. Let us discuss about the last topic of uh, this lecture, that is the safety analysis strategy. The traditional way to analyze a control system is to apply a bottom-up approach by using failure mode and effect analysis. The method is effective and it reveals a random failure well. The method is good for systems which can be analyzed thoroughly. Systems are, however, getting more and more applicable. The analysis activity at different levels are summarized in three categories. The first category is system level, second category is module level, and third category is component level. When we talk about bottom system level, bottom up strategy analysis is useful and it reveals random failure well. Top down method like FTA illustrates the failures well and reveals sequential failures and human errors, and it is useful when the amount of top event is small. At system level, without detail means without details, the analysis can often be made thoroughly, and validate models can be used to ease the analysis. So, system level is the analysis activity performed at different levels. So, system level is one, module level and component levels are the other levels. As far as module level is concerned, bottom up analysis is useful and it reveals random failure well. Top down method illustrate the failure well, reveals sequential failure and human errors, and it is useful when the amount of the top event is small. Some hints for analyzing standard and standardized systems can be found. So these are the salient points or activities of module level. Let us discuss about the component level. Bottom-up analysis can be laborious but necessary for analyzing low complexity systems and systems with a high safety demand. We should uh, at least go through the component level analysis. Top-down method or a mixture of top-down and bottom-up methods can be reasonable for analyzing complex components or systems with complex components. The last one is usually the system cannot be analyzed thoroughly at system level. So there are uh, often the bottom up analysis tend to become too massive and laborious. So tactics are needed to maximize the work and amount of uh, documentation. The first thing is one strategy can be documented only critical failures. And the second is another strategy can be start the to be to start the analysis on the most uh, questionable structure, and then just initial document and items and effect and failure modes and other information use added only to the criteria failure. So this is all from my side, which is related to the safety analysis strategy and software uh, uh, safety and hazard analysis. Let us discuss about some questions based on this lecture. First question: what is the main purpose of hazard identification? The first option is to minimize the effect of a consequence. Second option is for better risk management. Third is to characterize adverse effect to toxins. And lastly, the D is to reduce probability of occurrence. So the right answer is C, to characterize adverse effect to toxins. The second question: what of the following data is not required for hazard identification? Land use, containment levels, affected population, or estimation of risk? Answer is estimation of risk. In the third question, the dash process determines whether exposure to a clinical to a chemical can increase the incidence of adverse health effect. So it is called as hazard identification or exposure assessment or toxicity assessment or risk characterization. So this is the right answer, hazard identification. A. The hazard is defined as the probability of suffering harm or loss. Is it true or false? It is false. Why does site history have to be considered for hazard identification? The option A is to establish the risk, to calculate uh, carcinogenous exposure, or to know the probable source and cause of contamination of the site, or for determination of remedial action. So the right answer is C. In the next question, which is the main objective of risk assessment? A. To evaluate hazard and maximize the risk. B. The meditation of contaminated sites. The C is hazard management, and D is knowledge resource of pollutants. The answer is A, to evaluate hazard and minimize the risk. The next question is, what is the first stage of risk assessment? The risk assessment, exposure assessment, hazard identification, toxicity study, or risk consideration, characterization. Right answer is B, hazard identification. In the next question, an ancient can be called hazardous only when A. Stressor has the potential to cause harm to humans and ecological systems. Second is possess three of understanding. The last is monitoring is failed, and then robust of chemicals. So the right answer is stressor has the potential to cause harm to human and ecological system. The next question is, the purpose of risk management is to identify potential programs before any occurs so that risk handling activities may be planned. Is it false or true? Answer is true. Hazard identification mainly focuses on what? A. Chemical resource and concentration. B. Chemical resources. C. Chemical analysis. D. Chemical path. So there are uh, hazard identification uh, options are available, and the right answer is A. Chemical source and concentration. So this is all from my side. If you have still have any query, then you can consult with these books for your handling of your query. So that's all from my side, and because it is a very important topic and it is somehow related to the software quality, so you should, being a programmer, you should always uh, know how to make your software safe, reliable, and producing the correct output. Okay, so this is all from my side. Thank you very much.